Hello, Jamie from Inky and Scrappy, sharing with you today a real-time instruction tutorial with you featuring MFT's Beast Friends stamp set and their Slider Surprise A2 style card. I have already loaded or should have already had on the instructions to make the Slider Surprise without having the die set. So if you want to make a Slider Surprise and you don't have that particular die set, which is this one right here, I picked it up at a steal last year, so it was like $6 on clearance. And yeah, I don't know if they carry it anymore or not, but it's a super easy one to make on your own if you don't have it. It just takes a little measuring. So I have already posted that. It should be in the real-time YouTube channel playlist. There we go. It's in the real-time playlist. Oh, it's Monday. Yeah, it's Monday. We're gonna go with that one. So this was my first example, or my prep card that I did for my students in my October class, so they could have a sneak peek at what we were planning on doing for November. And so that is what we are going to recreate today using the supplies that I have for class. So my kits include all of the stamped images and pieces as I supply for my in-person classes, everything from glue to scissors. So, and my first class had nobody who has ever stamped and or made a card before, so it's just easier for me to do, and especially on this one because they needed to be in certain spots with a large group. It was just easier for me to do the pre-stamping. So those are all of our pieces and our images. I have stamped and clear embossed these. So I stamped them in black VeraFine Onyx black ink, and then clear embossed them on some on some Bristol vellum paper from Love Nicole. It's actually been really good to watercolor on. So if you don't have Bristol Smooth, but if you can get Love Nicole paper, it's, at least I got mine at a steal of a deal. It was like $5 for the whole thing. So I am reusing my palette from the other day when I did my first one. I'm just going to reconstitute it. I might have stolen some red out of this palette, so I'm probably going to add a little bit more red. So I'm using Barn Door Red. Well, that should probably be enough red. Well, I don't know. We'll add a little bit to the side. So I'm using Barn Door, Vintage Photo, Pumice Stone, Pine Needle, and for the blue we are using, I can't find it in my stash of blues I have out here, Tumbled Glass. I've been doing some watercolor lately. I haven't put them away. So those are the ones that we are using. I'm actually probably not going to use the Tumbled Glass today. I used the Tumbled Glass in the last one for my Yeti's face. Let me go and find that one. So I promise it's not too far away. There we go. There is that one. So here was my original, and that was my redone one. Because when I do my original, I don't pay attention to what I actually have on hand for class supplies, I guess you could say. And so when I redo the remake, I have to make sure that I have enough of things for all of, you know, for 10 to 20 people to recreate that card. So I don't have color. I did this one with Gamsol and colored pencils and Gamsol, which is a fun technique, but I don't have enough colored pencils to share with, you know, lots to people. But so we did this one. This was the first one. This is the second one. And so, you know, I used the blue for his face on that one. And this one, I'm going to show you how to get that skin tone with Vintage Photo. Where is my paintbrush? Okay, I have a little dish of water and my inks, my images. You can put these on a full-size sticky if you want. I didn't the last time. I'm not going to today just because I'm at home and I'm fine with not doing it that way. So I like to save red for last. It's one of those, well, how shall we say, red tends to get everything everywhere. But I will say I'm going to start with my lightest color, which is going to be the white of the Yeti fur. And I'm going to do that one in Pumice stone. I want to make sure that it's, let me get a piece of scratch paper here. It's not really scratch paper, but okay. So it's still fairly dark for my Yeti tone. I'm going to add a little bit more water. That's a little bit better. And so, and then I lost it because it went down in there. So I, a lot of times, like to paint on my mat just because, you know, it's easy. I can't do that in class though, so I will be pulling from my palette. So for this one, for the Yeti, I wanted to add a little bit of texture to his fur, and you can totally add this or you can skip this step. You don't have to add any texture to him at all. You could just do some of the outline ones, and my brush is like way too wet here. There. So I'm gonna do an underarm shadow here, and then an underbelly shadow, and I'm kind of going to bring that out because I want the belly to kind of look like it's round. And then I always usually do in there. I'm going to pick up a little bit just because I don't need that color to be dark. He is a Yeti, so he's fairly white, right? And then for his actual, I want to try that out just a little bit. And the finer tip brush, I'm using a number 6, I think. You could use a number 4 or even smaller. This is just what I have on my desk. I'm usually never too picky. I just work with what I've got. And so I'm just going to pull out or follow along those chunks of hair. Kind of just giving it a little bit of shadow where I would think a shadow would lie on this fur. And I'm not going to do this for all of him, mainly his face, around his face, just because that's going to be your focus. You're going to focus more on that than you are on his belly or his arms or whatever. I will pull in just a little bit up from where those little lines are there. And then I will do a shadow underneath his face a little bit there. And then I'll dab that one off just a little bit. So if he gets dark, he gets dark. It's really not going to matter. I've showed in the last one, you can get them super dark. You can get them, you can paint the whole thing gray if you want. It's really not, it's personal preference on that one. I like to add a little bit of shadow just because it gives them a little bit more depth and dimension. So that was our pumice stone, and now we're going to come in with vintage photo. So you see how dark vintage photo is? We're just gonna, that should be good. We're gonna water that down quite a bit to get a tan tone or more of a skin tone. And I want to add some shadow. I usually do shadow here and shadow there. And of course I colored outside my lines. I'm going to let that sit for just a little bit. I want the color to kind of dry a little bit, seep into my paper. And then I'm going to pick up all of the liquid there. And then I'm just going to come in with a teeny tiny bit on the brush and go back over that. Trying to avoid going over his teeth. Not that you can really see his teeth in this one so much anyways, but... And so there is my Yeti with more of a skin tone Yeti look as opposed to my favorite way to color Yetis, which is with the blue face. I like blue, what can I say? So you can get a pretty good skin tone with that vintage photo. I really do like the warm color to it. It's kind of got an orangish undertone, I guess, when you're talking browns. So there is my little Yeti for the most part. Oh, I gotta do his ears yet too. Whoops, he fell over. The Yeti rolled down the hill. Bigfoot must have been around. I'm going to do that one the same way, adding the little bit darker color to the ear, and then I will pick that up again with my cloth. No, my cloth is not super clean. So you do risk this, the chance of getting your color on your towel to rehydrate, so try to use a cleaner towel or a clean spot on said towel. I would say I worry about it, but I really don't. So I'm going to set him off to the side and let him dry naturally for the most part, and we're going to go on to our trees. Do I only have 3? I should have 4. Where's my 4th one? Okay, 4 little trees. Happy trees! Isn't that what Mr. Bob Ross would tell you? They were happy trees. So we're going to make some happy trees today. So I'm just going in with the darker color of that vintage photo and adding those to the trunks. And again, if you go with the second layer after they're dry, you will get some more color variation. I'm not that picky today. And usually with watercolor, I think you get enough of a color variation anyways. So onto the trees. You can do a solid green tree, or you can make it look like it's snowing or it has snow on it by coming here, pulling down. So make your line underneath where the top one would end and then pulling down. And I don't like to do a straight line. I like to do something that's a little bit more organic, I guess. Let's pull those down. Yeah, I got brown on my tree. Don't ask. I had it on my finger. Go figure. That's what I get. Oh, I was holding onto the stem and picked up the brown. Yeah. Okay, so maybe you want to put them on. Usually I don't cut anything out until I'm done coloring it. Hence my lack of paying attention to what I'm doing. And I can go back in with some plain water and just pick up that brown, because it's going to bug me if I don't. Or I just have to make sure that I use that one as my tree that might overlap. So the joy of Distress ink. Is it's water reactive. So you can usually pick up your oopsies. Mostly. Usually. Sometimes. Sometimes not so much. How is the weather where you're at? Today we are getting snow. If you like snow, it's probably a good day. If you're like me and you don't like snow because you know that it's cold when you get snow, yeah, that's where I'm currently located. Not impressed. It was super slippery today when we were out and about. I don't go out very often, but I went out today and it was the first official, probably the first official snow of the year, like measurable, and the roads were crap, to put it nicely. And one would say, well, maybe your tires weren't very good. I got brand new tires put on last week. I was thankful I had new tires. on my car. There was definitely some black ice going on out there this morning. I usually drive on gravel because we live on gravel. So it's a whole different game when you're driving on tar versus gravel when it's icy. Okay, so my trees are done. We are going to put those, and you could, once they're dry, you could go and add a second layer if you want them darker. You can totally do solid green trees and it's gonna look beautiful. I haven't decided if I want solid green trees or not, but we'll probably keep them with a little bit of white on the tip because they mostly turned out. And now I have to decide if I want to do green. I could do green, blue, and red lights on my Yeti. Should we? Should we go all out on this Yeti? Let's go all out on this Yeti. Let's start with my green light and do green, red, blue, green, red, blue. Ooh, which way are we going? Red, blue, green, red, blue, green, red, blue, green. Boop. All right. Green, red, blue. I'm gonna do, because this one really is not gonna matter. You can't tell for sure, right? So red, green. Let's do green here. I'm gonna go backwards up and we'll see where it ends. Red, blue. Will actually be red, blue. Right, so blue, red, green. Blue, red, green. Oh, well that's where I was kind of planning it. Score! So on my last one, I showed how I made the lights look like they were lit up and kind of put them out and beyond. And this time I don't think I'm going to do that. I think I'm just going to leave them as lights that are strung but not actually lit. Do you know what I mean? Or, well, like, they're not lit because they're technically probably not plugged in yet because, you know, he is holding on to them. Although I've done some pictures with my boys and had the lights turned on, and those turned out really cute. Like, we wrapped them up together in Christmas lights and turned the lights on, and then we put duct tape over their faces or their mouths and said, have a silent night or Merry Christmas. Oh, it will be a Merry Christmas or something like that. I know, I'm mean. Somebody said it was mean. And I said, the little one, because I think Jake was like 5-ish, 6-ish. I mean, he laughed. You could see he was laughing in the picture. He thought it was hilarious. And being the little turkey that he is, he totally had his duct tape off of his mouth before his mother was done taking the picture. Yeah. It was fun though. Let's go here. I missed one up there. I don't know how I did that, but it is what it is. So, blue, green, red. So that would be blue. The blue and the green is really hard to tell. Oh, I see what I did. I might have put, oh no, this one's supposed to be red. So is that one supposed to be blue? And I missed it. Okay. Well, here's hoping I can get the red out of my brush. Ooh, I like you, I like you. And we're going to set that one off to the side to dry. And you can totally take your towel and pick up the ink there if you want. I would wait for it to dry if you want to go back around and make it look like they are glowing. Like, it was so much easier to do that glowing effect with the Gamma-Sol. So if you like that look, I would definitely say either Gamma-Sol for that, or I have done it with my alcohol markers. You just take a really light marker on the outside or your blending marker to kind of bleed out the color as much as you can if you like that look. Watercolor, it's not nearly as easy to get that effect. I did it I just wasn't, are we gonna focus there? Okay, I just wasn't, it was okay. It just wasn't exactly what I wanted. And maybe if I'd have done it in more colors, it would have looked cuter. I don't know. So we're gonna leave that one in the bulb this time. The lights are not plugged in. And I should have probably gone in and done my hat gray before I did my hat pink or red. But I've already loaded up my brush with red, so we're going with it. And because I want to layer the red to make it look. My watercolor skill today is not on par. It's Monday at time of recording. I'm blaming it on Monday. I want that darker. Do I have some darker pink here somewhere? I might end up going in with another shot of red. And if you don't have distress for this one, you can use watercolors for this one. You can use, there's so many different mediums, so don't feel like you need to do watercolor, especially if you weren't comfortable doing watercolor. Am I comfortable doing watercolor? Usually. I usually don't on such small images, but for class it's just the easiest medium. I think next month I have decided I am going to bring out the alcohol ink markers and we are going to try it. It's gonna, you know, be extensively longer to get it done just because I only have a few options, but I'm also looking at only doing 1 or 2 color blends. And so I've been practicing my 1 and 2 color blends on the images that, or on the, well, yeah, the images that we're coloring on our projects. I finished them Saturday. I think I finished my December card class cards. Alrighty, so we have everything watercolored that needs watercolor. It all needs to dry a little bit yet, so we're gonna carefully set those thingies off to the side here in hopes that I don't muck it up. I will probably muck it up. We'll set our palette and our, I should probably set that up where I'm not going to bump it with my elbow. What do I do with my extra watercolors in my pans when I'm done with that particular pan? I hate wasting anything. I don't know why, it's just, it's in my blood. And so I do background whatevers with them. So I just did lines on this one. It will probably be a beautiful snowy scene type of background. See? And then you have backgrounds ready. I wouldn't say compartmental making, but it's, you know, it's what I do. So we have this one and this one. This one is going to be our flat card front. I'm not doing a open card this time. It's just going to be a flat card just because of the style of card that this one is. I felt it didn't need to have a real card or a folded card base. And there are score lines and you want to fold those. So the top one we're going to fold up. The middle one we're going to fold into, okay, so valley fold, mountain fold, and then a valley fold on the bottom piece here. And then for this bottom one here, we are going to do, you can either do score style tape if you have it, or this one, I don't know. Or you can do liquid adhesive. Either one works fine. I will probably add just a little bead of liquid adhesive there so I can put this one on there at the same time, because, you know, I'm not always great about lining things up. And then for this one, so we have our piece on the bottom there. The most important part of this one is we aren't going to be putting any adhesive up here. We need our card. Our slide piece needs to be able to move in and out freely without getting caught. So the best way to figure out your placement here is if you're putting this there, you kind of see how big you want to leave those channels. You don't want it touching there. You want to keep it, so this would be fine, this thickness. I actually have some thinner ones that I had cut, and these are cut from sheets that I get off of Amazon, double-sided sticky full sheets. It's like a little bit bigger than a half a sheet of paper. So I'm gonna just pop those on here. You want to make sure that it's not hanging off of the top. If it is, just give it a little snip to make it flush there. And then we will do the other side here. Keep in mind that my middle piece there is not glued down yet. It could totally be glued down already at this point if I was done with it. I'm not done with it. And then we're going to do the bottom piece here. And this one I'm going to have to trim because it's not cut down to size. And it doesn't have to be, we're not making a shaker, so it doesn't have to be exactly perfect there. It'll be good. I'm gonna just pop that there. Okay, so for this one, I want to put the little Yeti feet on this piece, not this piece. I guess this piece would have been fine to already glue down. So on this one, I want to come in. So I did the Are You Yeti or Not? So we're going to pause the video. I'm going to load up the other video and you'll see it. And I ended up cutting my stamp apart from my MFT set. Oh, I didn't want to because I really liked it whole. But I started it on this side and then I had put the Yeti in there and then taken it out as it didn't fit in between. I wanted my Yeti to be closer together than my other one. So once this side is stamped, I'm going to move it over to the other side, and I actually have all of my panels stamped with the Are You Yeti or Are You for Christmas. So I'm just adding the Yeti with some Stormy Sky Distress Oxide ink to finish that sentiment out. I'm choosing this one to do this part in voiceover just because I end up repeating myself in my actual full length one when I put the card together. So I didn't want you to have to listen to me be overly repetitive. I'm already repetitive. You don't need extra. So I lined up that sentiment from that other Yeti stamp set. You definitely could, if you have the Lawn Fawn Yeti or Not set, it has all of the sayings that I end up using in this card. So different font and text styles, and I am a total font addict when it comes to fonts, so I will buy a stamp set just for the way the font and the wording looks. I know. I need to stop doing that. I won't, but I should stop. So I just lined it up kind of in the center. I just used my, lines on the Misty to kind of center it so. And then I am going to put a hole punch on the top of this one. I didn't on my original sample, and I needed to go back and do that after the fact. Speaking of which, I don't even think I've done that yet, so I should probably go and do that before I put these in my stack of cards for Christmas. I might actually get a couple of them out in the mail this year. That's my plan. So I'm just lining that slider surprise or the pull tab up in the middle there, and then I'm just going to bring in my Crocodile and cut a hole in the center. I'm just eyeballing it. So let's say we're all done with that, and then I need to find my stamp set because I am ill prepared today. Let me see where I put it. Oh, good Lord, child. It's a good thing we have to stop. And Okay. Intermission, we'll call it, because I had to find my stamp set. So the Yeti or Not It's Christmas actually comes from the Yeti for Christmas from Simon Says Stamp. I picked this one up on clearance last year for the sentiments. Yeah, I know. And the big trees. I liked the big trees to use with my Yeti stamp set from MFT. I did not use them for this one, but it's definitely, you know, it was on clearance. I paid like $5 for it or less. I think it even came with the, I don't remember if I have the die cuts for that one or not. That was my sentiment for that one. Here is what I was looking for. The little Yeti feet. And you could use either solid Yeti feet or not solid Yeti feet if you want to do the same thing. So keep in mind that our card front is not going to take up the whole of the card. So I'm going to try to keep my little Yeti feet about a 1/4 inch away from both of those sides. I just want to put a few on there, and we are going to go in with Speckled Egg, I think. I mean, we could do Tumbled Glass because that would match the little light bulbs. I like the Speckled Egg and or Tumbled Glass would work. We're going to go with a Speckled Egg just because I think it's going to go really good with this paper. This paper is Winter from Echo Park Paper Company. It was 12 by 12 sheets, but they also have, this one is actually in their 6 by 6 paper pack, and so it's, if you love blues and Christmas blues and snow, it's where it's at. That is a beautiful set. And you could just go with one little Yeti foot. I'm going to go with a couple little Yeti feet coming in from the side. I kind of like just the 3 little Yeti feet. My last one had like a whole bunch of Yeti feet. I kind of like that. So there's only like 5 little feet. 5 little Yeti feet. I like it. I think we're going with 5 little Yeti feet. Well, I mean, technically it was 6 little Yeti feet, but it's really only 5 once you add the top. Do I talk a lot? Maybe we should do a little Yeti feet up here. Let's do a little Yeti feet. Since I already have my stamp inked up, we're going to put some little Yeti feet there. Alrighty. So now we're just ready to put this part together. It's not too difficult, I don't think. It's pretty simple. So the easiest way to do this one is to remove this one. We're going to add just a little bit of glue here just because I like to have a wee little bit of wiggle room. So if I don't line it up perfectly the first time, I get a second chance. And so for me, I lift this up so it's not connected to the bottom part. And then I just really do kind of eyeball it here. But as long as you're making sure that you're getting kind of in the middle here. I want it flush with that bottom piece, but I also want it to be fairly centered in that groove. So that's one way to do it. There's multiple ways to do it. Let's see if I have my extras. I have extras here. You can also do, you know, if you have this piece here, if this is, well, let's just go this way. So if I have this one here and this one here, you should be able to just pop this up a little bit, kind of center it and pop it down right here. If you just used liquid glue, it's going to be a lot easier to wiggle it a little bit. Just make sure that if you get glue on the outside of that piece, that you let it dry completely before you let it touch this piece. Otherwise it'll stick. Alrighty. It's not the one I need. Okay. So we have this here. See, it'll up and down, and that's what we need it to do. And I'm going to pop this Whoops. Oh, that's just gloobers. I am going to, and you can do the trick of only peeling back a portion of it at a time and going that route. You can add some glue to the back of your foam tape there if you want. I am just going to do this on a hope and a prayer. And I usually just line up the top and hope for the best. It's a little crooked. It is what it is. Okay. And then this will just pop up. So, see those cute little Yeti feet? They just kind of match. Are you Yeti for Christmas? And then we will add a piece of ribbon on there yet for this next piece. So I have my little hills cut out here. You could add a sentiment on the bottom here if you wanted to. You could add a little sentiment on the bottom there if you wanted to, or on the bottom there. My sentiment to me is here and there. I don't need another sentiment, so I'm not going to add one. And then for this piece, I wanted to sit on that top flap. So if this was all the way up, and maybe this is the easiest way to figure out how to decorate it. But so if this is all the way up, and then we lay it, but you know what I mean? So you don't want this flat, you don't want to glue this over that mark there. So I'm just gonna go with a bead of glue. And you could do a dry adhesive there if you wanted to. And I'm just gonna leave it popped up, and then mine are cut down to the width of my panel here. So the width of the panel here is 4 inches wide. And then we will tuck that back. So you don't want any glue above that fold line here and below that fold line there. So you're only gonna glue it onto this piece. And I chose to do a hill that pops up just because that's where my Yeti is sitting. I've done the other card that I did on this one. It is in my playlist for, it's my Heifer Please card on the front with a mug. So this is my, oh, I should probably make sure it's not dry yet. Yeah, see, I smudged because that's how I roll. That's what I get. That's what I get. All right, we are gonna pick up some of those smudgies. I should probably try to pick up the little piece of red there, but I think we're stuck with it. Oh well. It is what it is. So you can pick your placement on your little Yeti to be higher up, to be lower. It's totally up to you. Just making sure you're only putting glue on the parts that are going to actually touch this piece and not this piece. That's why sometimes I think it's easier to do it this way, because then you know you're not going to mess that up, right? Do I want a tree behind my Yeti here? I think we're going to go in with the little one. Let's put him on there first. So my Yeti's going to be there. I'm going to put my little tree here. And I have drop-itis today to boot. Wonderful. Okay. I don't like my tree placement. Let's move him over a little bit. The joy of liquid glue. We're going to put our Yeti right here. Boop, boop, boop. And then I can flatten him out and press him down. And then we will put... Why do my trees look so little compared to the one that is on my example? They're the same trees. It's fun. They're even the same big trees. Weird. Don't mind me, I'm just talking to myself again. So I'm going to add this one here. I think we'll do this one down here. You're just building your scene at this point. Ooh, I might have gone a little bit crazy on the upper glue there, so I'm just gonna press that down and keep it popped up until it's dry. kind of to even out my scene. And my Santa hat is not dry yet. I lost my reversible tweezers that I like. I have 2 of them that I like, and I can't find either of them. My desk is getting cleaned today after I'm done with this video. So my original one didn't have the Yeti with the Santa hat, but I just thought it was too cute not to add the Santa hat. So I'm going to add a little Santa hat on top of my Yeti. Plus, if you had part of the top of the head that you didn't like how your painting or your coloring came out, you can cover it with the hat. It's what I do in a lot of things. If something doesn't turn out quite right, something gets tucked on top of it. It's how I roll. I'm fine with how my hat turned out and my Yeti, so I'm just going to put him right on the top. And you could totally cut off all of the white that's going to overlap there if you don't want it on there. I'm going to be okay with it today. I'm really not okay with it. But for purposes of the video not being 3 hours long, I'm going to be okay with it today. And there is, isn't it so cute? I love it. It's so adorable. So are you Yeti for Christmas? Yeti or not, it's Christmas. Are you ready? Are you Yeti for Christmas? Do you have your Christmas tree up yet? I do not. I actually bought a brand new one last year. It got here the day of Christmas, of like Christmas Eve day maybe, or the day before. And I wasn't going to put it up because I was like, I was over it. I have a little one that has John Deere ornaments on that we set out in the entryway that we plug in. And so I was like, well, I'm fine. My kids are fine with that because they don't help me with that. And so where did I put the ribbon? It's right in front of me. And so I was fine with it not being up. But my sister-in-law was here, Miss Perushka, and she decided we needed a Christmas tree. So my Christmas tree went up. And because I said, I'm not, because I was total bah humbugging it. I'm like, I'm not bringing up all the ornaments. Like, it's going to be up for 2 weeks, maybe 3. I mean, depending upon my lack of ambition to take it back down. So I said, well, I will give you 5, what did I say? 6 ornaments or 7 ornaments. So I went downstairs and I found my red bulbs, my 2 green bulbs, 5 red bulbs, and I had a like yarn wrapped carrot for spring in my stash of goodies. And so that is what we did. We made a snowman. Oh, and a Santa hat. I had a Santa hat. So we put a Santa hat on it that said, I've been naughty. And we gave it 2 green eyes, a carrot nose, and a red ornament mouth. And that was our Christmas tree last year. It was cute. I wasn't, I wasn't totally behind it. For our pull tab here, I'm using some crystal blue, or I think it's called organza. Is it organza? It's the pretty stuff, the see-through, the thin ribbon. And you could tie this in a knot here. I am going to go and try to be all, this is not the twine I want. I want like a jute twine, but it's not in my drawer where I normally have it. And so I'm just going to do a little knot here. That's why I do these cards before I go, so I make sure I have all the things that I need. And you could trim those off if you want. I'm going to make them a little bit shorter. And then for that, I need to come in with a sharper scissors. I have my haberdashery scissors around here somewhere. I just don't know where they're at. I am going to go here. I don't need it to be that long. So, oh, those actually cut pretty good. So I went in with my Tim Holtz scissors and just trimmed that off there. And then it is done. Isn't that adorable? Or Yeti or not, it's Christmas. Are you Yeti for Christmas? Keep in mind, you can definitely put it on a flip card front if you want. I just realized that this one is definitely going to be, let me grab my, I'll finish this one since we're, to display this one when you get it, you're going to want it to be definitely more, you know, it's made to stand like this on wherever. So, you know, I mean, you can definitely put it in a kickstand type card and it'll work, but I just figure for mailing purposes, it's a lot lighter to mail it this way than with that extra piece. And you could totally put, if you remember and you want, you could totally put a sentiment on the back. You can sign the back instead of doing it on the front. I will probably sign it here, or I'll sign it on, it depends who I'm giving it to be honest. Now this one is kind of fun because we get to do this with it. So this is a gift card per se, and it's got enough room because of that little foam tape there. You can slip a gift card in here, and it's a surprise gift card plus your sentiment, or you can also pop your gift card on that there. You could tape it on there if you want to, but it's gonna stay without taping it, so I would probably avoid taping it, and it'll fold flat this way, and then you can pop it up and there's that gift card that's tucked in there, which is kind of, you know, kind of cool. And then you can have your message in there. So you can also use it as a gift card holder. So it's like an extra surprise. Definitely go in there with glitter on your tree boughs if you so choose. So I hope you have a fantastic day. Thank you so much for joining me, and make sure to click that subscribe button if you have yet to subscribe. See, you could even put a little critter in there if you wanted to. So I hope you have a wonderful day and keep getting inky.